They wanted me to talk to you about the Department of Biology. Do you know? Let me show you this. I wanted to share with you. This is a document that I typed up that goes through, and you probably have already seen this, but it goes through all of the core courses here that every major would be required to take. And then it goes through the courses that you would be taking if you were a general emphasis, like if you weren't sure what you wanted to do after graduation, or if you perhaps wanted to go into, well, again, if I were your advisor, I would get more information about what you wanted to do after graduation and probably put you in pre-professional. But we do have a lot of general biology majors. And the difference between your general emphasis and what I'll show you over here is your pre-professional emphasis. The difference is, okay, you're pre-med, so you'll definitely want to consider pre-professional emphasis. The difference between that and general is that we pretty much guide you with your electives towards more human biology versus, you see here we've got a wildlife emphasis, and there are herpetology, vertebrate natural history, etc. Classes like that you wouldn't necessarily want to take if you're pre-professional emphasis, planning on going to med school or PA school or whatever. If you're a general biology major, a lot of that's left up to you. You could take a mix of both if you wanted. You have a lot more elective hours, whereas with pre-professional, we sort of assign you those electives to be more human biology. We also have biology education, but that's through the education department, so it's not included on this handout. But if you were interested in attending med school or PA school, then I would definitely encourage you to be a pre-professional emphasis. And so there's a higher level of chemistry required of that emphasis. A&P, Anatomy and Physiology 1 and 2 is required, cell biogenetics, molecular biology. You're required to take organic, whereas you wouldn't be required to take that if you were a general major. And then you have some time in there to take things that med school would require, like physics and statistics as well. Usually that's required by our graduate programs. Let me go back here. And again, for your liberal arts core, you've got your English 1 and 2, your social science, which would be like psychology or sociology. And a lot of students bring those in, especially if they took AP courses or if they took dual degree courses. And so when you were registering in the summer, if you were to come and register for the fall, your advisor would kind of mark those off as already completed based on whatever you're transferring in. Now, I also wanted to show you our website. Here we go. So this is our website. This is the College of Science and Math. So you come down here and you can see there's our dean, Dr. Ashby, and we've got all of the programs that are in here. And we're specifically interested in biology. So there's our head of department, Dr. Walker. Talks a little bit about just a general overview of the department. And we come down here. You can see some of the places that our graduates have gone on to work. It talks a little bit more about the emphases. And then if you come down here, it talks a little bit about the facilities. Now, I wanted to show you this picture because you can see how it's kind of like if you can imagine, kind of like a bracket on its side. In the back here, which you're not seeing back here, there's a grass lot, and we're actually in the process of building the other side, like a bracket pointing the other way. So then when it's all said and done, it'll look kind of like a capital I on its side with the dome in the center. So we're in the process of building that, which will just increase our classroom space, our office space, research space, that type of, because we're going to be moving an engineering program from another building over to this building, and then our chemistry department is going to be branching out into the new building. But that's exciting, is my point. What we got here? When will it be finished? Well, you know, before, let's talk about before. It was supposed to be finished in a year. Don't quote me on that. Let me think. I think it was supposed to be finished by January 2021, I believe. Now with everything, you know, being suspended, I'm not quite sure. I don't actually know if they're still, because we're not on campus, you know, I don't know if they're still constructing, if they're still working on it right now. So not quite sure about that. One thing I did want to show you here, looking on the biology page, if we were to come down to the pre-professional emphasis, which is what I was showing you before, it gives you a better idea, you know, of why you would choose this emphasis. And like you were saying, you're pre-med, so that's what you would definitely want to go with. Let's see here. Now I wanted to show you, if you come down here to the directory and you filter by department, you can see all of our faculty here. They keep this pretty up to date. And so this way you can contact any of us. I'm up here, Dr. Baker. Yeah, so email address, phone number, if you wanted to contact anybody. Now, I wanted to show you this file again. If we're looking over here at pre-professional, you can see down here that you're required to do 3 hours of undergraduate research. So looking at the directory, right here, okay. So I do undergraduate research. Dr. Brooks does undergraduate research. He is a microbiologist, sort of an environmental microbiologist, and his research is environmental microbiology. Dr. Fly, she does research with dendritic cells, I believe. Kevin Jones is a botanist. He does research. And Lawton Roberts does research. Imelda does research. She is a food scientist. And Lauren Wills does research as well. She is a toxicologist. So we each sort of, and there's also research that's going on in the chemistry department that you could do research with a chemistry professor too. But each of us have our own little projects. Sometimes we collaborate with each other, and then so you would want to do at least 3 hours. You could always do more of undergraduate research, and it would require you going and talking to each of those professors individually and getting their approval to work with them. Some of us present our research at conferences in other parts of the country, but then we all present our research at a symposium, which was supposed to be held next week. You know, I wonder if they're going to do that online. But normally we have a symposium in the spring. Now, to answer your question, how students are in the pre-professional program, that is a good question. Biology is definitely one of the biggest majors. It's definitely in the top 5. I want to say it's number 2 or number 3, but don't quote me on that. But it's definitely in the top 5. And so as far as how many students are in the pre-professional program, I can't tell you exactly, but there's a couple of hundred of biology majors spread out between general, pre-professional, and wildlife. Did you have any other questions? I was just looking at your question. When will it be finished? You were talking about the building. Sometimes I have to talk a little bit more about which emphasis you might want to choose depending on what you wanted to do career-wise. But if you are for sure that you want to do pre-med or even PA, then I don't have to do that. You know what you want to do. But that reminds me. So if you are a pre-professional major, pre-professional biology, you would get an advisor that's not a wildlife professor. You would get one of us that teaches some of those upper level human biology classes. And one thing that, a lot of our students don't consider is PA school versus med school. And now that CSU has an accredited PA school associated with it, you sort of get first priority as far as admissions goes. You get first look, if you will, assuming that you have the GPA and the test scores. So that's definitely something to consider. And if you were interested in that, I can connect you with the person in charge of admissions at PA in the PA building, which is a different college. It's not part of the College of Science and Math, but they've got a really, really beautiful new building over there as well. What is the percentage of graduating seniors that get accepted in their first choice of mid school? Honestly, I don't know, because I don't have a ton of students that are pre-med. Most of them, I've had several students go on to get their PhDs, a few go on to med school, and most of them, let's see, I had one that, I don't know how familiar you are with the schools in South Carolina, but the University of South Carolina has a med school up in Greenville, like a Greenville satellite campus. I had a student who is going there. I have several students that have gone to MUSC. Most of them are local, and so they want to stay in South Carolina for med school. And like I said, I've had several students go and get their PhDs at schools all over. Several students go into PA programs, a couple in North Carolina, a couple down here. And then there's also, you don't really realize how many graduate programs there are, like in pulmonology and in, what's that one that I just wrote a recommendation letter. Point being, there's a lot of master's programs down at MUSC that can serve as a stepping stone to med school. We actually offer a master's degree in biology here at Charleston Southern as well. It's a one-year master's, and if you are interested in teaching on the community college level, this would be a good master's for you. If you're interested in teaching in the K through 12 system, this would give you a master's, which would be more pay, or it can serve as sort of like a post-bac, which is sort of a step before medical school to sort of set you up to getting accepted to med school. MUSC offers the same thing. But as far as what percentage, I don't know that we keep those numbers, because students declare different things that they want to do. Some of them apply to med school and then decide they don't want to go to med school, PT school, OT school. There's a lot of different options there. I've had some students finish their biology degree and then go right into fast track for a nursing degree. But we're a larger department, one of the larger departments on campus. As I showed you, let me go back here real quick and count. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 faculty members. That's a pretty large department. Business and education are going to be, and nursing are going to be pretty big up there too. But as soon as this new build, a couple of us are in offices in different buildings, but as soon as a new building is built, we'll all be here together. Most of us are there together in the science building. We're like a family. You'll have several professors for several courses. So you get to know us pretty well. And then, like I said, you get the opportunity to do the undergraduate research, which really, really gives you an opportunity to get to know the professors, more personally. What's the student ratio? Most of our classrooms hold 32. There's a couple of 32 students. There's a couple of smaller classrooms that will only hold 16 or 17, like the labs. And so sometimes we'll have like a larger lecture and you'll split into a smaller group for labs, 16 or 17 or so. We do have one classroom that holds maybe about 45, but I know all of my classes, they only hold 32 students at most. I teach primarily anatomy and physiology, 1 and 2. I teach a little bit every couple semesters. I get to teach an upper level biology like pathology or histology. But the bulk of my teaching load is anatomy and physiology and the labs that go along with that.